Good morning. Nearing the end of the first strength training session of week number 2 of the Cleveland Marathon Prep Series. And in this week's video, I'm going to go over my diet and eating habits and just kind of what I eat in a week. For the most part, I kind of eat pretty much the same thing every day with some little bit of variation. So we'll just probably cover like a different meal each day or something like that. And then here are some thoughts and kind of recap towards the end of the week as well. Today I'm just doing single leg step ups on these boxes, milk crates. It's about 22 inches high, so just under 2 feet, and 10 reps each side, 15 reps, 15 sets total. So that's a pretty decent workout for my quads and glutes. So for breakfast, I eat pretty much the same thing each day. Start out with some bacon in the pan, let that cook up a little bit, and I get 3 eggs here. That's 1, 2, and 3 eggs. And then, just to flavor it up a little bit, I'll typically sprinkle a little bit of garlic powder in there. And then I get some little green peppers and onions, diced up, that I'll just sprinkle in. And then once it's most of the way cooked, I'll add some cheddar cheese in as well, because I do like the cheese. First half of breakfast right here, to recap: a little bit of bacon, 3 eggs, garlic powder, little onions and peppers chopped up, and cheddar cheese. Looks great to me, and I'm ready to dig in. Second half of the breakfast, a lot more carb heavy, was warming up the bagels here while I was eating and cooking the first half. And then also this waffle all warmed up in the toaster oven. That waffle is just left over, so I threw it in. And then I am a huge peanut butter fan. If you haven't watched the videos before, you'd probably know that. But so peanut butter on the bagels and on the waffle with syrup as well. So a lot more carbs here, but I'm personally not really afraid of them. And I also put up the calories and macros on the screen here as well for breakfast. Lunch is my single biggest meal of the day. So let's walk through. The main dish, I guess, is a rice bowl, essentially. So I got rice in there, and then I got some green beans. You probably can't see many of those, not a whole lot. I have soy sauce I usually put on here, and that gives me a little bit of sodium to hopefully keep me somewhat hydrated for the afternoon run that I usually do. And then I have some ground deer there and cheese on top, and I'll just take that to work and heat it up. And then got some yogurt, Greek yogurt with peanut butter. And then in the morning when I leave for work, I'll put a small handful of frozen blueberries in there just to give it some extra flavor as well, because I typically pack my lunch the night before work, and then put it in the fridge and then put everything into my lunch box in the morning. And then I have some celery, and I'll dip that celery in the peanut butter as well. And then I have an apple, and then these 2 oranges I typically eat on my drive home from work, just as a little after work snack. So that's my lunch. The total is about 1,100 calories, just a tiny bit below. So like I said, my biggest meal of the day, but I usually eat breakfast around 6 a.m. and don't eat lunch till noon. And then after that, aside from my little snack on the ride home, I usually don't eat dinner till 7 or 7:30ish. So pretty big gap between those meals and lunch, so that's why I tend to have a pretty big lunch. Wednesday afternoon, I just got done with my first interval run of the prep, and I think it went reasonably well. I did about a mile warm-up, and then I did some 5-minute intervals at 8-minute pace or below was what I was kind of shooting for. I didn't set up the actual workout in my watch, so I couldn't see those 5-minute intervals, the exact pace for only that interval. I can just see the mile splits, but just from looking at my watch, I'm pretty sure they were all below 8 minutes average across the whole 5-minute interval. So reasonably happy with that. I don't know if I mentioned I had 2 minutes easy or rest in between those intervals, and then I just kind of did a cool down and finished right around an hour total. So that was pretty solid. Just gonna do an easy run tomorrow, like 6 miles, an hour-ish. And then Friday, Saturday will just be shorter days probably. And then Sunday, we're gonna do 10 miles, I think, is the plan for Sunday. So dinners are honestly pretty similar to lunches. I just get some rice in the bowl there, then put some hot sauce on normally, sometimes maybe soy sauce, but usually hot sauce for dinner. Coincidentally, I do enjoy the Frank's Red Hot. And then got chicken today. Like I said, sometimes I have chicken, sometimes ground beef. I actually just buy the whole chickens and then cook them whole and then cut them up. And then I'll put a little bit of cheese on as well, just to add some flavor and variety. I like cheese as well. And then I'll usually have some green beans or some other vegetable. And I do have some leftover potatoes here, so I'm gonna eat those tonight as well with the green beans. Not eating all those green beans. I'm just gonna heat those up once I eat this whole bowl of food. So just under 600 calories for dinner, and obviously getting a lot of protein from the chicken or even ground deer if that's what I'm having instead. That has a decent amount of protein as well. Oh baby, got some wind and waves today on the lake. Lots of wind out here. But the upside of that is that there's no one else out here. I got it all to myself. Thursday afternoon, getting an easy run, chill miles. Yesterday was high 60s and clear. Today, low 40s and super windy right out by the lake. So that's been fun, but we're getting it done. The last thing I eat in the evening is this kind of smoothie. I have a number of things in here. I got some blueberries and a banana in the bottom, and then I put some peanut butter in, spinach and milk. Then I'll blend that up and usually add an ice cube as well just to make it a little bit better. And then I'll also try to get a scoop of creatine in, which just helps in a variety of ways in terms of endurance and recovery and stuff like that. And there's a ton of research on it with pretty much no side effects or downsides at all. So creatine is the one supplement, I guess you could say, that I take. Sometimes I forget it, honestly, but it is naturally occurring in meats. I think chicken is probably the one that it has the highest creatine, but one scoop of creatine is 5 grams. In order to get 5 grams of creatine from something like chicken, you have to eat, I think, like multiple pounds of chicken in a day. So it's a very small amount that's available naturally. So that's just a good way to get some. The one thing I don't take any of is protein powder. Over the past probably 5 years, I've used protein powder on and off, I guess. And at this point, I feel like I just don't really need it, in the sense that I can get enough protein, I think, from my regular diet of just regular foods. And I'm sort of the opinion that I guess if you can eat more natural things and less supplements and stuff like that, it's probably better. And like I said, I think I get plenty of protein in a day just from my typical diet, so I don't really see the need to supplement with protein powder. Sunday afternoon, about 3/4 of the way through a 10-mile run, which will wrap up the training for the week. So total calories for a typical day is right around 3,000, and honestly I would have expected that to be a little bit higher, but I think that's, a reasonable number. I haven't really been gaining or losing any weight, so I think that's pretty solid. Protein is right around 170 grams, which is approximately the 1 gram per pound of body weight metric that a lot of people advise for those that are training, whether it be strength training, endurance training, what have you, in order to maintain muscle mass and potentially gain some muscle mass. That 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein is kind of suggested or recommended, and I'm right around there. I think ideally I would like to be consuming more calories of protein meats and a little bit less of carbs, but at least for me right now, financially, I think where I'm at makes sense, because obviously protein and meats are more expensive per calorie than carbs. So I'm happy with where I'm at right now. And in terms of this week's training, it went pretty well. Another solid week. I got my first higher intensity interval run in of the prep, and this coming week I'm probably gonna try to do something similar again, maybe mix it up a little bit, but definitely want something at a higher intensity. And then this Sunday we got in a longer run of 10 miles. Obviously that's not super long yet, but we're starting to build that up. And I think for both Alexis and I, it felt pretty good. Weren't really struggling at all even towards the end. We were actually picking up the pace just a little bit towards the end as we were still feeling good. And exciting as well, Alexis set a PR in the mile yesterday, so that was exciting to, I guess, run with her for that. And I was happy and proud of her for that. And in terms of stats, total miles this week was 31.73, total running time of 5 hours 16 minutes. So right on track there, just a tiny bit above my 5-hour goal. And average pace 9 minutes 58 seconds per mile, so that's solid as well. Elevation gain 1,047 feet. And then the typical 2 hours 20 minutes of strength training, those 4 30-minute sessions plus 5 minutes of abs on each of those. Next week in the video, I'm going to be going over kind of my recovery and how that fits into my training, and hopefully enhances my training so that my body can actually recover and improve from the training stimulus that I give it. So nothing extraordinary this week, just a solid week of training, and I think making good progress in building towards the marathon, which is now just 8 weeks out. So that's definitely getting closer, but looking forward to the weeks to come and sharing those videos with you guys. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on those future uploads in the Cleveland Marathon Prep Series. Really appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.